Welcome to Rapid Fire Fridays today, Carbon Nation. We're glad you're here, and we believe by the end of this, you'll be glad you were here as well. Today, we've done a lot of neat things. We've had a lot of neat projects here on Rapid Fire Fridays. We've covered a lot of interesting subjects that we felt like you were interested in. And today is an improvement over everything else we've ever done. Today, we're lucky enough to have with us the one and only Jim Shockey, one of the most trusted and respected outdoors people and outfitters in North America. And we feel fortunate to have him with us today. Welcome to Rapid Fire Fridays, Jim. It's good to have you with us.
Well, thanks, Jeff. I'm just waiting for this improvement you're talking about. What exactly is the improvement? Because look at me as an improvement.
Yeah, you're a huge step up for us. We've carried it to another level now.
So well, I appreciate that. I'll try and hold up my side of the bargain.
You always do, and again, it's great to have you here. And the collaboration we've had with you has been very beneficial to the company. We've had a lot of neat and exciting things happen to the company. We've had unprecedented growth, and one of the biggest positives for us has been our association with you. So,
well, I appreciate that. I mean, you have a great product, so it was going to happen. I'm just glad I got to hang on while you guys rise to the top.
Well, again, it's a good mutual relationship, and hopefully it's been beneficial to both of us. So,
yeah, well, I've had fun using the firearms, that's for sure.
And we're going to talk about that in a little while. Probably one of the first things we want to talk about today, Jim, is some of the new firearms that we've introduced since you and I last spoke. And one of those is our new modern precision pistol. The MPP I have right here in front of me, it kind of fills a niche in the firearms lineup that we've never had. Like the name implies, it's a pistol. It has a folding arm brace on it. We offer it in 4 different calibers. We offer it in 300 AAC or 300 blackout. We offer it in 223, 6.5 Creedmoor, and 308. As we release this pistol, we've had tremendous response to it. It's been very, very positive in the customer and dealer feedback for us. Our research and development guys and our product development folks really did their part when they came out with this, and it's been a great addition to what we're able to offer as a company. So it's just been tremendous for us. I would add to that those same product development people and our market research and the engineering folks right now have an ongoing program of product development. And I think you and many other hunters in North America will be excited when we see what we've got. We'll probably start releasing a few things in the next 12 months. And some of those are pretty innovative and trend-setting, and we look forward to having those rolled out for us. So that's kind of what's new with us lately as far as firearms go.
Well, that one's spectacular. I'll take 3 of them, get them up to me here in Canada.
You need one in each.
How you do that?
Yeah, you need one in each Argo, Jim.
Yeah. I have a feeling that you wouldn't get very far across the border. It's just different up here for the rules and regulations, and they're getting, unfortunately, more absurd. Seems like every year up here with our present government. So I don't know if that would be allowed up here, but there's no reason it shouldn't be. It's a spectacular firearm, but as soon as it's called a handgun, it gets complicated to get it across the border.
And even sometimes here in the States, between different states, their Department of Justice will have different standards for a firearm. And for our part, we can just design the firearm. We can't change the laws that govern where people live. But gosh, it's been really, really good for us. So.
Well, I can see that. I'm almost thinking about moving down to Texas, and so I can own one of those guns. That's spectacular. Is that the new bolt action then? I thought you guys had a new bolt action.
We are working on a new bolt action rifle, Jim. We're not ready to say a lot about that yet, other than we feel like it will be a kind of a groundbreaking innovation for us. It's going to be, there's enough new design and stuff in that it's really going to be a great addition to our lineup. So that's coming. That's to be announced. But recently, like I said, is this modern precision pistol for us. One of the neat things about Christensen Arms right now is the emphasis on product development and being relevant in the marketplace and meeting the needs of our national accounts, our dealers, and our customers. So more to follow.
You guys have done a great job of that. You've also, someone told me, a birdie, that there's new calibers. You're introducing new calibers as well.
Well, and we're always working on some of that stuff. If you're in the industry, you need to stay current in what's going on. Otherwise, you'll be left. For example, if we were selling buggy whips, there's not a whole lot of teams of horses pulling wagons around anymore. So lately, especially in the last year, and you're part of this, Jim, in the last year, 6.5 PRC and 300 PRC have really gained a foothold in, especially with North American hunters. Jason and Steve Hornady did their homework when they rolled those two calibers out, and they have taken over a lot of the market share, if you will, of calibers available. And I think you would agree that those PRC calibers are very efficient at pushing a heavy for caliber bullet downrange.
Yeah. The 300 PRC is my present love child. I'm a huge fan of that caliber, and I actually was, when I was guiding Jason and Steve Hornady. So I had them in my truck for a week, which is a long time to be with Jason and Steve Hornady. Let me tell you, they beat up on me pretty hard. But I was a bigger is better kind of guy. It's got to be 338 minimum caliber for a big enough bullet. And they explained to me all the R&D that went into those two calibers, particularly the 300 PRC, because that's the one I was interested in.
Right.
And I'm a huge fan now. I'm not of Jason and Steve. If they're watching this, you guys don't think for a second that I'm a fanboy here, but actually I am. Don't tell them.
Yeah.
But the caliber, I love it for hunting. I think it's 212 grain bullet, and it is just wallops when it hits at whatever distance, and it's flat and fast, which I need as well. So I'm a big fan and a convert from bigger is better. Even though that is a big caliber, doing what I do, it's not. It's the perfect combination of speed, accuracy, and flat trajectory and power when it hits.
Absolutely.
That's a thumper.
It is, and it's a lot of those same qualities that have convinced a lot of other customers besides you and I that those are great calibers to own and shoot. And so we've seen those gain in popularity a lot. Another new thing we're working on right now is really new. It's the new 6.8 Western caliber. It's the Winchester Olin caliber. They're going to roll that out. We've done some preliminary research with that, and so we're involved in that. And then there's a few other calibers that are under consideration for possible introduction at some point. But we're always working toward the next best thing to try and be the best firearms company we can be for our customers and our dealers. So those are some of the things that we've started to work on. We talked a little bit about your Traverse rifle, Jim. How did the Traverse serve you as you've had it with your outfitting business, and then didn't you go on a sheep hunt with it?
Yeah, I did. That was actually the first big game animal I took with that gun. It was, I would like to say that I had the time to play with it before I went on the trip, but I actually didn't. When I got to the trip was when I, got a chance to really put it through the grinder, and it performed flawlessly. I mean, it was a long shot on the sheep. I think it was 340 yards, if I remember correctly, in a wind. And the gun, and it was one of the toughest physical hunts I've done. Not the longest, but boy, there was 48 hours there that were as interesting and challenging as I've ever been on anywhere around the world. And that's conditions that are tough on firearms, tough on equipment, and the Traverse, it performed flawlessly. It's performed, since then many times actually. I think I got my first North American moose ever with a high power rifle with your Traverse.
I remember that episode. I was cheering in my living room when you picked it up, and because I know you're not one to pick up a rifle on a moose hunt. So.
Well, I never have. I have in Europe and in Asia, but not in North America. That was my first moose after all these, hunting them for 50 years.
Yeah.
And I just, it was such a pleasure. I mean, I love getting close too. Don't get me wrong. A bow and arrow is wonderful. My muzzleloader has been a lot of fun, but it's also kind of fun when, the stress is off the hunt. I can take the shot.
Yeah.
In times past, I wouldn't have been able to. So that traverse, yeah, it's made a big difference on my hunts, and we used it as well. I used it on my caribou last fall, my mountain caribou, and I think Wojo used it on a couple animals as well, a moose and caribou, and I think he even used it on the grizzly. Although, I don't know if you know Wojo real well, not that good a shot, eh? So I think he ran through the cartridges that were in that gun, and I handed him mine. I can't remember if he was using the 300 at that time or what,
Yeah.
but it was a bit of a gong show. You'll have to wait to see that on Shock Therapy someday.
I look forward to it. I'm just keeping track, Jim. So far, you've alienated you and I from Steve Hornady,
Yeah,
Jason Hornady, and Mojo now. We're losing friends here pretty fast.
yeah, but we still love each other. So,
I guess so. I guess.
as long as we can stand back to back against those guys, I'll tell you what, I'll face Jason and Steve. You can face Wojo.
Oh, see, I would rather have it be the other way around, personally.
Yeah, no. Well, but I'm just thinking the beards. You guys are so close,
Yeah.
and you almost look like twin brothers with those beards. Well,
Yeah.
either that or you belong in ZZ Top, both of you.
He's still much better looking than I am too, though.
Well,
So,
yeah, you haven't looked that close. Trust me. You start looking close at Wojo. There's a lot of wear and tear on that face.
we both avoid close-ups.
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of those qualities, though, about the firearm, a composite stock, a carbon fiber barrel, stainless steel, everything. A lot of those qualities that make that rifle an ideal sheep caliber also benefited my two boys and I. I had a chance in 2019 to take my two grown sons to the South Island in New Zealand, and we all three harvested Himalayan tar in the Alps of the South Island in New Zealand. The caliber we chose was 28 Nosler. Again, very fast and very flat. We were shooting 140 Accubons there. And those same qualities that make a rifle a good sheep rifle or a moose rifle in the Yukon certainly served us well there in New Zealand too. So, part of the design and the nature of the construction of our firearms lends themselves well to hunts like that.
Yeah, another thing too, I wanted to add that, I said the 300 PRC isn't a big caliber in my world, but I mean it's a big caliber, and a lot of people in most people's world, and a lot of people are afraid of the kick. But what I noticed on your gun, what I didn't notice was the kick, frankly, and that's all. I don't know what your brain guys, R&D guys, probably you, how you do that, but there's certain guns that you can shoot, and they just wicked on they just hammer you with those kind of calibers, but yours didn't, and that's a nice. I haven't I haven't had a nice magnum smile across my forehead since I started using your Traverse, and I don't expect I will. I don't know what you're doing to it, but whatever your engineering guys and you are doing, it doesn't kick even with the bigger calibers.
Well, and part of the trade-off when you have a lighter firearm, reduced mass of a firearm reduces the potential for increased recoil. And recoil management in a lighter firearm is a very important part of that firearm. And our guys have done a really good job with a few different designs of muzzle brakes, etc., that have made our firearms very, very manageable to shoot. So I think we're going to use that as a new advertising slogan, Jim. You haven't had scope eyes since you started shooting at Traverse.
Yeah, and it's a fact. It's a fact. And believe me, I can provide you with a lot of footage and pictures of me with a great big gouge. In one trip, I had 3 of them, in the past. So it's kind of nice when I don't have to worry about that nowadays.
Exactly. One less thing to worry about. Although it does make good television when you have blood.
Yeah, yeah. Nice for everybody watching, not so nice for the idiot that's got the blood drooling down his face. So and also not so nice when the idiot gets home and his wife has to look at him with these great big bandages, butterfly bandages across his forehead. Louise was not too impressed.
Well, she still loves you, I'm sure.
Yeah, she tolerated me, but that's 37 years. I guess she just figures it's not worth trying to train somebody else at this point.
One of the things that's been a fact of life, Jim, for all of us the last year is COVID and the impacts that that's had. I wondered how has that impacted your outfitting business and other outfitters both in Canada and in the United States? What have you seen from that?
Well, I think it's benefited the American outfitters tremendously. I've heard they've had great years. This last year has been fabulous. Bookings, because you can travel domestically inside the United States. What COVID's done for the Canadian outfitters is quite tragic, actually. The border closure, Canada-U.S. border closure.
Yeah,
So the American clients can't come up to the Canadian outfitters, and the biggest problem. I actually just wrote an article. It just came out on Outdoor Life on their website or whatever, the online Outdoor Life magazine, explaining the situation. Our government said we're closing the border, and they said stand by for more information. So, and this was just prior to the 2020 spring bear season. So we had done all the front loading. We were ready for the clients, and about, depending on the outfit, anywhere from 30 to 70% of a client's full payment for their hunt is spent before the client ever shows up. So everything's paid for. We had our cabins booked and paid for, and all the guides ready to go, all the full-time staff paid, telephones ready, everything.
yeah,
And then we got word that, well, we might open in 2 weeks. Okay, so we waited 2 weeks. No, now you got to wait a month. Okay, but we could open, so you waited, you had to keep the doors open. This has gone on for now a year, through the spring season 2020, fall season 2020, spring season 2021. We've had to have our doors open as outfitters up here in Canada the entire time,
yeah,
spending money and not knowing if we have to be ready, because if they open the door tomorrow, I got to take my clients. And
yeah, exactly.
it's the unfortunate thing now is they've gone past the point of a lot of outfitters being able to survive this economically. Um, Read the article in Outdoor Life; it'll give you all the details on it. But the other bad part about it is all the clients that sent deposits and paid in full for their hunts, because that's what you do before the hunt. Um, there's no money to give back from most of the outfitters.
Yeah,
It's been front loaded. A lot of clients say, well, don't worry about paying me back the money, just roll me over till next year. But that's not the way it works, unfortunately. I wish it did. But that discretionary spending, and that it's holiday money for the clients, but it's life money for the outfitters, and they spend it being ready for the hunts. So it's actually really there's, on top of that, there's quota issues. The governments aren't going to give you a double quota next year.
exactly. Yep.
And you had to buy those quotas or whatever the fees are all the way along. It's been tough. And I don't think we're seeing the fallout from that yet. That's going to happen over the next couple, 3 years, and there's going to be a lot of unhappy clients, a lot of sad outfitters. They're not happy because they can't take their clients, and
Right.
hopefully there's the clients and the outfitters will share in this burden and negotiate, not litigate. Because
Right.
nobody wins except the lawyers in that case.
And I do believe moving forward, as the opportunities become more and more present for United States hunters, I know there's a lot of hunters down here that cannot wait to come back to Canada and hunt with outfitters that are still there. So
Yeah, it'll work itself out, and in a few years this will be past history. But in the meantime, like I say, there's going to be a lot of ruffled feathers, and it's sad for the hunting industry up in Canada and a lot of places around the world, actually.
yeah. Have you been able to spend some additional hours in the Hand of Man Museum with this downtime?
Have I spent more time here?
No, in the museum. Has it allowed you to manage the museum to a greater degree?
Yeah, I mean, our client, we were averaging 1,000 people a month, and as high as 1,700 people coming through our museum per month previous to COVID, and building up. It was going like rising like a meteorite, or well, a rising star. Um, and then COVID hit, and literally they weren't allowed. We had to shut down the business. So when we finally could open, you're starting with a government that's telling everybody that they're going to die if they breathe anybody else's air, and and nobody would visit anything. They just sat at home. And so now it's starting to build back up again. They've released some of the protocols. I mean, but we're still wearing masks up here and doing some pretty ridiculous things, even when you've got two vaccines. Um, but I don't know. They're smart people in government, right? They know what they're doing, right?
Well, we hope so. We hope we've elected the right kind of people to lead us correctly. So
Yeah, well, half of us hope. The other half didn't vote for the person. So we'll see. We'll see how the other half does with their leader right now. But it'll, like I say, it'll work out in the long run. And this will be past history in a few years.
well, I know personally I'd love to come up at some point and see the museum. As we've watched that come to fruition and watched you add to it and make it into what it is today, it's an amazing accomplishment. That's going to be a legacy for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think of it as a legacy for me personally, but I think it's a way of getting our messaging out there, tell our narrative about what hunting and hunters and firearms owners are about. We've been our messaging has been hijacked by mainstream media for the last 40, 50 years, and they've gone to town on us. I mean, they've vilified us, marginalized us, and really done a disservice to the conservation efforts of hunters and firearms owners.
Yes.
And it's a classic case. Bad news sells for $2. Good news sells for $1. So why do they want to tell something good about what hunters do? It's easier to talk about Cecil the lion and not even know the facts about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, this museum is a way that we control the messaging, and it's quite astounding. Our Hand of Man Museum, anybody can Google it and see it. I'm located right here now in the museum in our edit suite production facility, and it's in the museum. This representative for our state, which is our provincial government, is a Green member of Parliament. Green, it's the Green Party. So it's not left wing like Democrat, and it's not. We have further left than that is New Democratic Party, which is verging on socialism. There's the Green Party is way out there. That's who represents this riding. That's who got voted in. And yet this museum, there's maybe 1 in 1,000 people, one a month, that has a problem with the messaging in here and the fact that there's mounted animals, with real fur, God forbid. So it works, and that's why I say it's not. Yes, it's a legacy, I suppose, but I think I prefer to call it an example. And here's what we can do. And we're not rich people, Louisa and I, but we did this without a single penny of government funding, and it'll all be donated to a foundation someday. The land, the contents, the building, and we'll set up an endowment for it to keep it running into the future. And we're not wealthy. Eva is listening right now, going, "No, that's my inheritance." But it can be done by. You don't have to be a billionaire to do this. You don't even have to be, rich in terms of the 98 or 99 percentile, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
The 1%ers or whatever they are. You can do it. It just takes time and effort and like I say, your kid's inheritance. But other than that, it can be done. There should be one of these in every community across North America. We would not have an anti-gun or anti-hunting issue right now. I can tell you that.
I agree. And even though we may not all be able to establish a Hand of Man museum, if we're involved in firearms or we're involved in hunting, it would behoove all of us to do what we can to be active and vocal and tell the true story and represent what we represent to the rest of society in a very positive way.
Yeah, and don't succumb to their public shaming. We do not have to apologize for what we believe in, who we are. We're good people. We're the kind of people that your country, United States, Canada up here, the foundation of these countries, honor and hard work, common sense. This is what we stand for, and we have nothing to be ashamed of, even though that's really their only tool they have to get at us. So you just stand proudly and explain and don't get wound up. Don't get drawn into the emotional fight.
Right.
Because 80% of the people out there just want to hear the truth, and they're not this way or that way. We're on this side, there's antis on this side, and those 80% in the middle, they hear the strident screaming and nonsensical, science, pseudoscience that they get spewed. They recognize it when someone gets too emotional, too wound up, too wild, and screaming and spitting and yelling. I mean, that does nothing. So don't get involved in the fight. Just with pride and as much as you're able to, tell the story. Say who we are and what we're about.
Yeah, at that point, it's all basically only negative anyway. I have found that a lot of times, if those individuals that enjoy nature and wildlife understand that the groups primarily responsible for that wildlife being there to enjoy are hunters and conservation dollars, we appreciate the same things they do, just in a different way. And we help to facilitate what they enjoy. And a lot of times when they fully understand that, there's not so much animosity there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, anti-hunters are about stopping hunting. They're not about having more wildlife in this world and healthier wild populations of animals. They're about stopping hunting.
Yeah.
And that's what we have going for us. We're about more animals and healthier, populations of these wild animals, more habitat. I just was right by our place here on Vancouver Island, and the British Columbia Wildlife Federation, which is hunters, had financed a wetlands project to preserve, all kinds of wildlife, not just ducks and geese that they might hunt, but all the wildlife that benefits from a wetlands project. You don't see the anti-hunters out there working to on this wetlands project. They essentially have financed the protection of a landmass for wildlife.
Right.
Because we want more wildlife, and most people, when you talk to them, the 80% that don't hunt or that aren't, avid anti-hunters, they want more wildlife too.
Exactly.
And if more hunting makes more wildlife, okay, then they lean that way, but that's not the truth. And that's never been the truth. And in spite of what they'll tell you, hunters, like you said, are the greatest conservationists. We've done more good for the wildlife populations in this world in the last 100 years than 1,000 anti-hunting groups combined have done. In fact, they've been a negative.
Yeah, and that's the story we need everybody to tell. And then I think, again, it's incumbent on all of us. If you enjoy the sport, represent it well, do your best to portray it in a very positive way. Don't make any enemies out of it. But for whatever you do, please have a voice and do what you can, even if it's not make a museum.
Yeah, exactly. And every small incremental step in education is a step towards enlightenment. I mean, that's what we all have to do. And every little bit we do helps in that regard. And there's a lot of us. When you combine that, you co-opt all our efforts, the message will get through it. The truth always rises eventually, and we just all have to make sure we stand tall and proud and tell the truth.
Yep, exactly. One of the neat things, I want to move on to a subject, Jim. You're probably aware of it a little bit. It's our new Quest events. Part of what we wanted to cover today was address that subject, introduce it to those that haven't heard of it yet. And I think you'll agree, after you understand what it's about, that it's a really neat program that's going to help us do exactly what we've talked about. We've got some really innovative and intelligent, forward-thinking marketing people. And one of the ideas they had was, let's have an opportunity for Christensen Arms customers to come together and offer to them a 2-day shooting event. You fly in one day, you're involved in instruction and shooting Saturday, Sunday, and then fly home Monday. Part of the package includes, we have a couple of different options for them. They can buy one of our rifles, and we offer the Ridgeline Titanium. We offer the modern precision rifle for the folks that want a folding rifle. And then we offer our ELR rifle, which is kind of a hybrid hunting / long-range precision rifle. So we cover the whole spectrum in the firearms that we offer. And then we offer a top-tier optic as part of the program. We offer a hard case, a hoodie, hearing protection. It's just a really, really comprehensive package that we offer to our attendees. The Quest event is held at the FTW Ranch, just a couple of hours outside of San Antonio, Texas. And for anybody that's ever looked at or been exposed to the FTW training down there, the facility is world class. The trainers are as good as any I've ever heard, and I've heard a lot of trainers through the years. The quality of instruction is exceptional. And then to back all that classroom instruction up, they have literally dozens of ranges all over the property that will have you shooting 100 yards on level ground, uphill, downhill, 1,000 yards across the canyon. And this whole time, you have world-class instructors right by your side, making sure that you have the proper prone position, target acquisition. They give you pointers on that. I've hunted my whole life, and honestly, I've learned something every hour that I've been there. And so it's a really phenomenal opportunity for the people that want to take advantage of that. And one of the neat things about this show, we're actually going to give one of those prize packages away. And as we've discussed, our friends in Canada are eligible for this program. And so we're going to give one of those slots away. It's valued at over $10,000. And we're excited about that opportunity to help ethical, intelligent, proficient shooters be out in the field doing what we love to do, and that's hunting. So we've got some dates available in August. We've got the 13th through the 16th of August as open. And we've got in October, excuse me, the end of October, we've got an opportunity for you to attend a Quest event. And then at the end of that 2 days of shooting, you can add on 1 or 2 days of hunting at the FTW Ranch. For an additional fee, you can stay on the ranch and engage in some hunting activities. There's a few options that they have down there for you. And so it kind of combines the shooting instruction with the opportunity to go out in the field and actually practice that stuff in a hunting situation. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little story about that ranch, FTW Ranch. When Eva, our daughter, came to me at 21 years of age and said that she wanted to learn how to hunt. Before that, she was a competition salsa dancer, and my wife Louise and I, Nana Weezy, now we just about fell off our chairs when she said that. And I told her that one of the first things she has to do is learn to properly handle a firearm, and learn the skills that are involved with it, because it's not as simple as just point and shoot. There's a big responsibility that you take on your shoulders when you pick up a firearm. And Eva went down. That's the ranch she went to. So she's been there, and that's the best place that we found for her to learn exactly what you're talking about. And she was a beginner. I also sent one of our top people from our company at the time, Dan Goodenow. He also took the course, and he's an accomplished hunter, been around forever, knows guns inside out. Thought he knew a lot about them, and discovered there what he didn't know about firearms and the handling of firearms. And by the way, Eva did beat Dan in the final competition that they have down there. So she's the real deal when it comes to shooting. I think there was some ex-special forces gentlemen that were teaching it, and that's they won the competition. Go figure. But which what Eva wasn't too impressed with. But like I say, it's understandable. Those guys are the best of the best, and that's who's teaching you there. I think it's a great thing you're doing. I'm trying to figure out. I've got a bunch of IT guys here. I'm trying to figure out how I can get my name in there 10 or 12 times so I have higher odds of winning this thing.
Unfortunately, you and I are not eligible, Jim.
Darn.
We're going to have to just invite ourselves, I guess, to that event.
Yeah, I probably don't want to go anyway and embarrass myself when it comes to the shooting competition at the end.
Well,
I've got a reputation that I built up all these years because of these smart guys around me. So I'd be really concerned if I had to prove it.
Every now and then, it is nice to have the option of the edit button.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cut and edit. We can do that.
Yes, sir. Yep. One of the toward the end of the program here, Jim, we've talked about most of what we want to discuss. There have been a few questions forwarded to us. If you're okay for just a couple of minutes, we'll address some of those. I know a lot of them have to do with moose hunting and some of them just hunting in general. I'll read a question, and then between you and I, maybe we'll just spend a minute or two on that question. Is that all right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing the questions, hopefully being able to answer them.
Well, I think between you and I, we can bluff our way through just about anything. So
there you go.
So we've got a question from Eric, and he says, for me personally, I've loved and appreciated nature my entire life. It wasn't until the last few years that the appreciation developed into a desire to hunt, which I feel enriches my connection to nature. Being someone who has achieved what you have, what came first to you, the appreciation for nature or the desire to hunt?
That's a fabulous question. I was born a hunter. I mean, my earliest memories are collecting bugs and insects and graduating up to catching mice and gophers and rabbits, and then, food that we could eat, the rabbits and deer beyond that. So I was born a hunter. And when I grew up and with my family, uh, for my dad, a deer was just a hamburger running across a field. He was a meat hunter, pure and simple. So the wild animal was just meat. There wasn't any deep spiritual connection with the wildlife. For my dad and his speaking for his brothers, I probably shouldn't, but I was there on the hunts. Their attitude was, if you could get out there, get your deer the first morning, and be back at work by noon, that was a great hunt. I was even by then at 14 years of age, it didn't make sense to me. To me, well, why would you want to shoot on the first morning when you can wait and enjoy the hunt the whole time and at the get your animal on the last day, then you had the hunt. Otherwise, you're right back at work. But I think that was a difference in a generational, a time, a need. We needed meat. If we didn't get a moose in the fall, my dad didn't get a moose, we didn't eat meat. It was macaroni. We didn't go buy a cow. I didn't even know you could buy a cow until I was in high school. So for me, it was definitely, I was a hunter first, and then I slowly but surely started learning. At the beginning, it was the what I got. That was the most important thing. The what, how big it was, what it was. Then I grew into the how I got it. I wanted it more challenging. I went to muzzleloader, bow and arrow, and then it had to even be right then. It had to be on camera, right angles, not flashed out by the sun, things like that. It just added degrees of difficulty. It was the how I got it that became important. And now, Eric, to answer your question, it's the why. It's the why I hunt that's important for me. Is that relationship that Eric's talking about with the wild animals and the spirituality. It's a touching of our ancestral soul, and that's what hunting is to me now. And it took me time to learn that. I'm different now, and hopefully, saving a bunch of young hunters coming up from having to have that long learning curve. But again, it was a generational thing. Animals were meat back then. There was nothing. You didn't have the luxury of the spiritual side.
Well, and another thing I think we go through in an evolution as we hunt, sometimes where matters too. For example, I notice in your programs, Jim, you take time in the program. It's not just show up, go on the sticks and shoot. You spend time with the people and the geography and how you got there, appreciation for the animals and the people that are there where you are.
Yeah, that's the why. That's the why we hunt. Hunting is, the popular press will have you believe that hunting is this much of a pie, or they believe it's the whole pie, the kill, but it's not. Hunting is a three-dimensional ball, and that the kill is a tiny little sliver. I think it was Ortega de Gasset said, I don't hunt to kill, I kill to have hunted.
Yeah.
And the hunt is everything, including the cultural, the family, the camaraderie, the humor, the adventure, the wildlife you see. That's all the journey. That's what hunting's about.
Exactly.
And it's a bonus when you get an animal that you can feed your family with.
One of the other questions that just came through to us, Jim, they're pushing forward to you and I. What's the best lesson or the most valued lesson that you've learned hunting and as a hunter?
Wow. That was a lesson that I learned from my father, Hal, and my father-in-law, Len. Anybody that's watched our hunting adventure shows over the years saw the Hal and Len shows.
Yeah.
And, I thought and this was part of that. It's funny, my dad was never really, deer was still meat to him at the very end, but I learned from him what hunting is really about, maybe inadvertently. I don't know if he was intentionally teaching me and Len, they're kibitzing back and forth. Um, Hunting is about having fun. It's about family. It's about camaraderie, and that was the most important lesson for me. And again, that was the catalyst for me to go from the what I got and the how I got it. That was so important. I mean, I'd climb 100 mountains to do it the right way, and so it had, again, the accomplishment is directly proportional to the challenge. So that was important to me. But then when I started hunting with those two old gentlemen and really spending time in the blind with them, I realized none of that mattered. None of it mattered. It was the why they hunted was just to be together and fresh air and having fun, enjoying each other's company and tormenting, me, my dad's son and Len's son-in-law.
Yes.
That's why we hunt. That's all of us do that.
Yeah.
Unless
Right.
we're so wound up in the what we get that we forget about, the joy, joie de vivre in français is
Exactly.
the joy of life, and that's what hunting is.
What a great takeaway from an experience like hunting, to have something that meaningful that you can share with the people you love or your friends or family, and have that last long beyond whatever's in the freezer. What a great, great thing to take away from hunting. And I think it's that meaning behind the hunting that makes us passionate about what we do. We're running out of time, Jim. We're going to wrap up. Again, we cannot tell you how much we've appreciated our association with you, not just having you shoot a Traverse rifle, but your involvement with the company and everything that you've done for sportsmen across North America.
Well, I appreciate that. I promise I'll always do my best in all those regards, and it's an honor to be part of the Christensen team. I'm very, very proud of that.
As are we. So again, thank you very much. Carbon Nation, it's been great having you with us today. We hope you have taken something away from the program and justified the time you spent with us. We are listening to you. If you have any questions or concerns at all, reach out to us. We will be glad to address questions or concerns that you have. We love consumer feedback. We love to hear from our dealers and customers. And we hope everybody has a great day. Get out there and practice safe shooting, shoot often, shoot safely, and involve some of the youth. Involve shooters that aren't shooters now in our sport, and let's make sure we continue the proud tradition of the Second Amendment. Take care, everybody. Jim, thanks. We'll see you at least by the show season.
You betcha. See you at one of the big ones.